Rudi had a wonderful line, clearly not all his, but it had an enormous impact on my life. The line is, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil." Then he added, "Even though I'll be shitting in my pants every step of the way." The last part's important for a lot of reasons. I think a lot of people pursue a spiritual path to, in a sense, transcend their humanity, their person. They want to become fearless, which I think for many people says having no fear. But fearless really says less fear, less fear. It doesn't say no fear. And the idea of being a human being on a spiritual journey is kind of a central idea. And even though this Buddhistic idea of awakening and enlightenment comes through and for many people gets interpreted as somehow free of fear, free of suffering, totally taken up with the protection of something greater. And it's a really big draw. I think so many of us want to feel that we don't have to be concerned about suffering, that we don't have to worry about physical pain and ultimate demise. We really somehow want to be taken off that track. And yet, we're all on that track, every one of us. We are on the track of inevitable end of us as a being. And mostly that is not a comfortable journey. Mostly it is a very lonely, scary, frightening experience. And for many people, it is something to get free of. But you can't. None of us can. And each one of us will arrive at a place where we are really on our own. There may be people around us who hug us, and that's really wonderful. There may be some memories to sustain you. That's nice, but there won't be future space that's knowable or predictable that will give you necessary comfort. It will be mostly unknown, possibly hoped for, possibly dreamed of, possibly based on the teachings that you've had from other spiritual and religious guides. But certainty in that realm is hard to come by. So we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, hopefully fearing no evil, but shitting in our pants as we go. You may shit more or less, but it will be a part of the equation. And so I speak to this not as an abstraction, but as a human being talking about his own journey, my own sort of day-to-day experience of getting old, or certainly older, being more toward the end of things than the middle or beginning, not able very much to turn my head away from the ending point because there's no real distraction other than I need to go shopping and fill the car with gas and things like that, and maybe take my grandchildren out to lunch. Those are unbelievable gifts in my day-to-day life. But mostly life speaks to me with a kind of new voice. And it's the voice of aging, the voice of getting older, the voice of saying, there's not a lot ahead for you except dissolution and the real arrival of impermanence as not a teaching, but a fact. And it's an extraordinary way to go as you move forward. And there are times where it is in the moment to moment reality, quite beautiful. There are moments of such extreme uh, comfort and acceptance and Buddhistic, if you will, awareness of something so much greater than the impermanence of this particular person. And then, as I've described to you, I think on many occasions, there are times where that embrace goes away and one is left with nothing but bodily um, awareness, if you will. The next step being not a expectation or a hope, but a complete unknown. No idea what one is moving toward, no idea what awaits, and one hopes and prays in a way that it will be a return to this kind of embrace and connectivity inside that is, for me, the core of my spiritual practice. It's what I experience every time I sit with all of you, because this heart inside, for reasons I don't fully understand, but it absolutely loves you guys. It loves you. It wants to speak to you. It wants to hold you. It wants to embrace you, whether that's in a way for Bruce or whether that's because of something larger and cosmological, which is the way it presents itself. There is something that really pours through and just wants to go to you and tell you you're good. You're okay. Trust the ride. Trust the journey. But it also wants to tell you there are moments where you will be left totally on your own, without the embrace, without the certainty and the security, and it's going to be you and the world, if you will. And that's hard. And I think a lot of us want to get past that. And maybe there are some who do. I have become one of those people who do not trust certainty at all. I really feel the embrace of the moment, whatever it is. And there are times where I feel hugged, and there are times where I feel just thrown into the abyss in a way. And it's the abyss moments where the teaching of Rudi comes at me and says, do the work, do the work. And what I do at that moment is I take a breath and I ask for help to surrender or to accept the abyss. And then fear arises. And I don't ask for help to get rid of the fear. I just say, please help me to accept what is. Help me to accept. It's a really powerful teaching, because mostly we want to run and hide from the abyss, from the terror, from the unknown. It's really a problem. And so we keep trying to find, this spiritual path that will free me from it. But to use Daniel Subkoff's famous phrase, when he slammed his finger in the car door of a taxi when he was getting out, 20 years of Buddhist practice went out the window. Pain at that level is really phenomenal, and it causes one to lose a kind of certainty and connection. What is that level of suffering that human beings attract, and why are we in it? We are also, and I will transition gently into a time where not only are we going through, those of us getting older, going through this kind of strange loss of familiarity and the comfort zone of the way the world is, we are starting to go through a transition where the whole world is changing around us, and not necessarily for the better. It may be for the better if there's a time frame of 10 million years, but for the next 100 years, 50 years, 20 years, whatever, the world is really going through a kind of upheaval. And I think most of us will live the rest of our lives in a state of discordance, if you will, with what's going on around us. Anyone looking at that may become fearful, including me. I don't want it to be discordant. I don't want it to be a place of fear and, dictatorial sort of sense of how to live your life or being told how to live your life after 80 years of being able to, what appears to be able to choose my directionality, to choose the things I want in the world. I don't want to be told what to do. And I haven't known how to face all of that. But interestingly, and not that this has helped me, but it's clarified things. I am a voter for the Motion Picture Academy, so I have to watch all of these movies and then nominate best original screenplay, adapted screenplay, and even best movie. So Blanche and I sit and watch these movies every night, and we have for now a while, 2 months. And I have to say, one of the things that comes to me so brilliantly is Rudi's line, if it's in front of you, it's yours. Every one of these movies is speaking to me in ways that are not like, oh, that's an interesting movie, or that was entertaining, or that was interesting and compelling. It's something more direct. It's like pushing through to parts of my psyche that I have never had really as an experience of watching films. Not that I want to sit here and feed you a list of movies to go to. Most of them may not be so easy to find. I'm not exactly sure, but they will be, perhaps. But I have to say, these movies are painting a picture of a world that we live in, have lived in, that is more, in some ways, insightful and in a way disturbing than the world I see filtered through my brain and my mind and my psyche that kind of makes it prettier, sweeter, nicer, more, if you will, delivered by higher powers. This These movies are just going like, take a look at what's in front of you. And it is really painful. Um, so I'm feeling like so much is being stripped away. I'll talk about a few of them just because I want to mention them. One of them is a movie called Origin, which strangely, interestingly, is about the idea of caste as a directive in human life. Caste as a way of people prioritizing who's worthy and who's not worthy in the spectrum of human beings, and how that's originated in the world, in India, and then certainly in what they think of as racist terms in America. But it's really, this movie discusses the idea of caste as a way of the world having workers and servers and rulers, if you will. A really brilliant and insightful movie with images in it that are penetrating and unbearable, dealing with Nazi Germany, with slave trade in America, with untouchables in India. But I say it because if you can watch a movie like this and open yourself up to what it's showing, it is clarifying. It takes away some of the illusory idea of life, especially in the American culture, which has been for many years a very democratic and very uh, easy place to live if you're white and if you have a certain kind of conditioning that makes you feel comfortable. Of course, this movie opens your eyes to that that's not available for everybody. This culture has had its own caste system forever, and there is suffering going on around you that most of us don't look at or don't see very well. This movie just explodes it into your face. Another film I watched, whose title I'm forgetting, so forgive me, but it's really about the Commandant of Auschwitz in Germany and his family living right next door to this space where they are killing and burning hundreds of thousands of people all year long. And these kids are playing and swimming in a little pool, and there's a gardening going on. They're absolutely living on the other side of the wall. And interestingly, the movie never goes behind the wall. All you see is flames shooting out of into the sky behind you. And you look at that and you know what's going on, but the fact that they keep you from going there is so potent because it's how we live. We don't look behind the wall around us. We don't want to see that. In this film, the commandant's wife's mother comes to visit without really knowing quite what's going on. And you see it as it dawns on her what's happening. They never speak about it, but she leaves a note, which the daughter doesn't even do anything but put in lights on fire, and she leaves. The mother just leaves forever because reality hits her in such a big way. There's one moment in the film where this group of Nazis comes together to talk about getting rid of 700,000 Jews in uh, Hungary, and how they have to increase the burning capacity in these concentration camps so more people can be taken and dispersed of. And they talk about it in such a simple manner. Like, yeah, we have to do this, and we'll have to build these new furnaces, and we'll have to do these different things. And it's like a meeting of people sitting around a table in any business bank or anything in America or anywhere in the world. It has no content. It's just that they happen to be talking about something beyond comprehension. And the only human moment in it is the commandant, who's now going to be given the job of taking care of getting rid of more and more people, walks down a flight of stairs or several flights of stairs and stops at the landing and just vomits. And that's as close as you get to a human moment in any of this. So I know this is all sounding very negative, but there are actually more films than this that I'm watching, and it's so fascinating to me that the universe is just pointing at me and just saying, look at this, look at this. It's really powerful. And I look at the world around me and what's happening in the world around me, and I think a lot of people are starting to see some very dark hints on the horizon of things that took place in the world, in the 1930s, and we're seeing it happening in our own country. And some of us are looking at it directly, and some of us are kind of, let's watch something else. But if you go to the movies, you're going to see movies like what I'm talking about, and they're going to redirect you. And, it's a time to look at the world as it is, if you will. It's a time to take a breath, and then, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, even though I will be shitting in my pants every step of the way. Don't forget that you're human. Don't forget that there are things here that are frightening. Don't forget that you, as a human being, have to take a breath and own the fear, own the reality. A movie I saw last night, I think it's Leaving Utopia, made actually by the girlfriend of a friend of mine, is an unbearably difficult movie about people trying to escape North Korea. And it takes you not just on the horrific ride trying to get away with understanding totally what happens to you if you don't make it, but then it goes back into showing the world of North Korea, which is a place of unbelievable mind control and obedience to a particular kind of false god, if you will, but it's very reflective of our own possible times. And I watched that movie with my mind like going, oh my God, and not wanting to live in a world like that. So I say all this because if there's ever a time for what I will call, and we might join together in calling, a spiritual life, this is that moment. This is the moment of working it through inside. You can be shitting every step of the way, but you have to move forward. You have to move forward through life with a kind of connectivity to this hand holding that does exist in the spiritual dimension. There is something that will hold you and care for you. And I will also remind you that that thing which holds you and cares for you will at times abandon you. And it abandons you, I feel, for its own purpose, which is to teach you something more deeply than you would ever get if you were just being handheld. Just like a parent finally saying to you, you got to move out. You got to go into the world. You cannot live in the world with your mother holding your hand. Not going to happen. You have to figure it out. Well, we're all growing up spiritually, and we're all going to have to figure it out. And this is literally in front of us now. The world is changing in ways that will challenge men's souls, really. And we have to be able to, I hope, rise to the occasion. One last thing, and I won't want to keep you that long, but I got a call yesterday from someone who is a filmmaker who I could not remember. He's been to my house. I could not remember him. I am realizing that I am forgetting people. I am forgetting moments in my life more and more and more. My brain doesn't sit around going, oh my God, I'm forgetting, I'm forgetting. And then someone calls me and says, hi, I want to say hi again. I want to come see you again. And I could not imagine who this person is at all. And that's when I go, oh, wow, wow. And I see it more and more that I am losing my connectivity to historical Bruce, to the person who was. I don't mind it at all day to day, except for moments that are awkward and embarrassing. On the other hand, instead of being made awkward or embarrassing, I just say, forgive me, I just don't remember who you are. And we just talked, and this person's going to come visit me, sent me a link to a website of his, which I went to, and it was interesting because I could still not remember him even, but he had a few little short movies that he had made. And I was decided, I thought, well, let me look at these little movies before he comes to visit. And I watched them. And one of these movies, forgive me, I hope he's not upset that I talk about it directly, but it's about a guy working in a coffee shop and someone who comes through the door who said he's flown into the city to see him. And the guy goes, what do you mean? Who are you? Why would you come fly to see me? He said, well, I was sent here to talk to you. And he goes, well, who are you? Where do you come from? I don't understand it at all. And the guy said, I'm an angel. And he goes, he doesn't believe him for a second. What do you mean you're an angel? He said, yes, I was sent here to tell you that you are a very remarkable being and that you are someone who is loved and you will help the world dramatically. This guy starts off thinking that this angel is a crazy person, feels he's going to be killed by this guy, and he's an angel waiting to take him out to somewhere else in the universe and, into the realm of death. But instead, the angel just wanted to say, I came to tell you how special you are and how much you are going to be of help to the world. On the plate of movies waiting for me to look at, that movie came to me and said, look, there are movies about the Holocaust and there are movies about angels coming into your life and coming into the life of people to tell them who they are. And I knew when I spoke to you today, I would tell you about the movies I'm watching. I really wanted to end with this one because what I felt watching that film, which ends very beautifully, by the way, with them just hugging and the guy walking out the door, having other people to go to, I guess. My feeling in teaching today was that I want you all to know how blessed you are and how meaningful and important you are to the world. That you are not, even if you are suffering like a human being and going through how am I going to go forward and full of fear and drama, even in that space, in the essence of your humanity, in the essence of who you are, I mean every one of you, you are angelic forces, and you are here to help 1, 2, 20, 50 people, whoever it may be, in the best way you can. And to know that you are being, I don't know if singled out is the right word, because in a way you have brought yourself to the table, but there is a force of energy that comes into this world, goes through you, and it goes back out into the world. And each of you is so capable and so able of serving what I can only describe as is this hugging force, this loving, compassionate, internal force that mothers and loves us dramatically enough to let us go out on our own and figure it out by ourselves. So here we are. I love to do, I like uplifting classes. I like things that give us some kind of, energetic hope or whatever. I can only tell you, we are in a very real world going through very real things that we may or may not understand. We may not have any reality behind them at this point. There may just be projections of thoughts and sort of narratives that we feed ourselves. But at the core, if we sit quietly enough and deeply enough and ask for help, to surrender, to open, to accept, if you do that work, you will find that you actually are here to serve, to mother, to father, to embrace, to give help to those around you. And you may not find a lot of help coming through to you. You may have to engineer it yourself. You may have to just go in there and shit in your pants every step of the way, but just keep moving and know that you are serving something greater. This is so important. It's not an easy journey, and it's not going to get easier as far as I can tell. And there is no easy out. You can go sit in the woods if you want, but there's no culture in America where people come and give you food because you're sitting by a tree, as they would do in India in the days of Buddha. You know, if you're sitting in the woods by yourself, you got yourself and the coyotes and the bears and the snow and the whatever. You're going to have to find a way to take care of yourself and know that you're doing that not just for you, but for everybody around you. And each one of you is capable of, you are each a vessel for this kind of motherly, fatherly love that will help people move forward in this world where every step is scary, where every step is demanding, and to know that there's something going on, and the mere offering of help will help everybody around you, and just so you know, it'll help you as well. Serving something greater serves you, and that's what we're here for. And so I don't know, I don't know where this talk comes from or why I'm giving it exactly, but just take it on. Take it on. Don't be afraid of your humanity. Don't be afraid of your day-to-day reality, of your being frightened in the world, of your being like, oh my God, what's happening? That's called being human. We don't have answers to it all. We're just going to have to walk through this journey, and some of us will get somewhere, and hopefully you'll be part of that. Okay. I'm not sure. I keep thinking these will be my last talks ever, but are there any questions to anybody about, from anyone about any of this? Yeah, that's what I figured. It's okay. Oh, okay. Mark?
Hey Bruce, talking about movies because your talk about death and your constant talks about death. And we just recently saw the Barbie movie and and I'm thinking, well, it feels like cotton candy movie. So I remember the scene I loved where they're dancing and everyone's perfect and dance the night away. And she's dancing, all of a sudden she says, "Do you ever think about death?"
Right, right.
And the place stops, music stops, and everyone is in shock of that question. And then afterwards, things starts falling apart, falling apart for her. The perfect world starts to fall apart. So I'm just wondering, from your perspective, something so obvious as that, and we talk about it and it freaks people out. And I'm just wondering, why is that in your mind? Why something so obvious gets that kind of reaction?
Well, partly because I think we do everything in our power not to make it obvious. We do everything to bury it. We do everything not to look at the very one aspect of life. It's, if you will, impermanence, or the fact that we're not going to be here forever. The fact that the ride gets so co-opted by suffering and pain and dissolution at the end, and there's kind of no way around it unless there's an instantaneous kind of, departure from this world. But our brains are not programmed on this journey to think about that. And I totally understand that. And I would have absolutely been one of those people in total endless denial had I hadn't taken that LSD in the 1960s. And there I was, and I died. I mean, that to me was a death and rebirth experience. And it was like, whoa, whoa, what is that? And then starting to go into, spiritual religious teachings and realizing there are people who think about this stuff, and there are people who have lots of answers about it all. And I wanted answers, and then I thought I had answers. And as I've gotten older, I realized, I don't think I have answers, and I'm just kind of here. And answers of some sort are forming, but they're not conclusive. They're just ways of looking at the world. And I've been given an odd kind of a voice. When I came back from my LSD trip, I said, "Why? Why am I back from this death? Why am I back in this world? I didn't need to come back." And it said to tell people what you saw. It was like a commandment. Tell people what you saw, and then it really checked to see if I was capable of it, if I was willing to do the work, if I would pass whatever tests it was giving me in the real world, which were about service to this larger thing. And I guess I passed, and it gave me a voice to talk. And I keep thinking I'm done, and then I keep teaching classes or doing this kind of thing. And so my job was to say the world is not permanent. The world has a defined ending. And if you focus on that, the world and the life you live in it is totally transformed by that knowledge and awareness. And if you don't focus on that, you are in a level of total distraction, and you're on that cruise ship with me with 7,000 people trying to get the third meal of the afternoon, for nothing, and trying to go, being told to go buy stuff in the jewelry store here and go gamble there. And you live this life where there's no information about this is going somewhere. This is actually this has a destination, and that's the only real truth in this entire journey. It has a destination called death, and it's fearsome to a mind that doesn't have any inkling about what it is, and it's fearsome even to a mind that has this idea of physiological pain and suffering. So how to deal with that, how to bring that information into the picture. I love that scene in Barbie when she goes, we all die. I mean, that is so brilliant. And I nominated it for a screenplay award because it's so smart. But there are a lot of other movies that are smart as well. And this was a good year for movies that go, wow. I don't know why I'm just being hit. And it's also partly because I am aware that the universe now, if it puts stuff in front of me, not by chance, it's directive. Boom, 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 all the time. It's the most potent time I've ever lived in. And I think we're all possibly heading into a time where it's going to be doing that for us too. And either you're going to look at it or you're going to be dialing it out. But if you're going to be watching movies this year, they're going to talk to you. They're not going to be able to make it, so you can look elsewhere. And, the big one, Oppenheim, it's about the end of mankind. It's really potent. And, the end of each of us and the end of mankind as a collective is a big deal. Turn on the news, climate change, political affairs going on. They're not pretty right now. And, what does one do with that? And I can't tell you I have the answer. Part of me wants to run somewhere, but then the world is no longer exactly a safe place. So I don't know where running goes to. So I need to run in here, and I have to go, we all die. And how does that affect the moment-to-moment reality? I'll tell you what it does more than anything else. It makes me want to hug my wife and my children and grandchildren. And you, and you, truly, each one of you. If you were here, I would be hugging you and hugging you and hugging you, because I love you guys so much. You have no idea how deep this goes for each of you. And I'm not, none of you are being singled out except for you or you. It's really potent. There's enormous love happening here, and there's a reason it's happening, and it's because you are deserving of it. You are being touched by this angelic force, and it's saying, we need you. The world needs you. And believe me, if it ever needed you, it's now. That's my sense of it. Okay. Uh, any other questions? Okay. Thank you for listening to all this. Week by week, I figure this will be it. People will say, I've heard it, Bruce. I've heard it all. You got nothing left to tell me. I completely understand that. And all I know is if you sign off, it doesn't mean I will love you less, not for one instant less. You will still be part of my collective joy. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there. And oh, Wednesday, this Wednesday is Rudy's birthday. So I would like you to, if you want, light a candle, have a cupcake, something, just to say thank you to Rudy, because trust me, getting a teacher in this lifetime who can give you such foundational, simple guideposts for how to live your life is an amazing thing. So saying thank you on any level would be wonderful. Next week is a in-person class in New York up here and a Zoom class. And I would encourage the California class to come. And I think we're going to try to show a new version of the Rudi movie that hasn't been seen publicly. And we'll try to show that if I can figure out how to engineer it during the class. So that's next Sunday at 8 California time, 11 New York time. Anyway, thank you. Love you all.